site development.
We'll stop.
We don't maintain those.
That was like the two apartments.
Yeah, I know I got
So we don't care about
Affordable housing? In
always
what
something.
sense of affordable?
Always, I say, always we do require the people because we
I probably still have the agenda.
Can't start off on the wrong
doesn't
foot.
care about we just
But there's no like LIHTC or anything part of it. So that's where it's like the low income housing tax credits.
need some comment.
There you go.
Center.
I'd like to call the January 5th meeting of the Cass Graham Planning and Zoning Commission to order. And please join me for the pledge. Would you, Natalie, just call the roll?
Member Aldred,
Here.
Member Vanderhayden,
Here.
Member Hubbard,
Here.
Member Garza,
Here.
Member Peters,
Here.
Member Estrada,
Here.
Vice Chairman Benedict.
Present. Any changes to the agenda?
No changes, sir.
Commissioners, time to see the minutes. Any additions, corrections?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written for December 1st, 2022.
Second.
And a second. First, a second. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, time for election of chair and vice chair for this year. Say this coming, it's not, we're here. So I will open the floor for nominations for the chair. Are there any nominations?
Vice Chair,
Brett Benedict.
I'd like to nominate Vice Chairman Benedict for chairman.
A second.
Second, third.
Oh, thank you. Any further nominations? Okay, hearing none. There's a reminder. Hearing none, I'll close the nominations. We have one nominee. All in favor, I guess we can just proceed to vote. If there are no objections, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Wow, look at that, that's scary. All right, thank you. Appreciate that vote of confidence. I'll call it that. So next, open nominations for vice chairman. Vice chairperson, I guess would be appropriate.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to nominate Anthony Estrada as the vice chair.
Okay,
I'll second.
I'd like to make a nomination of Ms. Celeste Garza.
okay. I think do we have to have a second? I didn't hear it, so.
Yeah, I think you have to have a second for the second nomination.
Can I
Here's a
second again?
Who was the nominee?
Garza.
Oh,
Celeste.
okay. Got it. I'll second that.
Okay.
I'd like to respectfully withdraw my name from nomination.
No, this was a ploy.
Yeah, you are amazing, man. I gotta take notes. Okay. Crossing your name off, buddy.
Okay.
Don't think we can elect you if you've turned it down, so. Okay, any other nominations? hearing none, I'll close the nominations. We have one nominee, Celeste Garza. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Sorry, that didn't pass.
Yeah.
It passed.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Celeste, thank you. You gonna switch chairs now?
We got a heads up there, guys.
We're all right, okay. Very good. Okay. Next, the consent agenda. These, actually, there's just the one, are considered routine matters, and if anybody would like to see, would any of the commissioners or any of the public would like to hear the presentation about these matters, and there's only the one, DSA 22-00243, please speak up now and we can have the presentation, otherwise we will act on it all together. Seeing none, let's see, we need to call roll for this? Okay. Seeing none, I need a motion.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, item F1.
Thank you. Have a motion,
Second.
a second, Mr. Peters. Natalie, would you call the roll?
Member Aldred,
Aye.
Member Vanderhayden,
Yes.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Member Garza,
Aye.
Member Peters,
Aye.
Member Estrada,
Yes.
Chairman Benedict.
Yes, that'll be strange for a while, yes. Okay, on to our regular agenda. We will, let's go ahead and hear presentation for, it's a public hearing to consider request from LGI Homes for a conditional use permit and the resolution GSA 22-00230. All right, Sam.
Excellent. Good evening, Commissioners. Congratulations, Chairman, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Tonight, I'm bringing, the first item I have is the Ghost Hollow. LGI Homes is requesting a conditional use permit for a model home sales complex for Ghost Hollow 2. They've already built out a fair amount of Ghost Hollow Phase 1, and they're ready to move into Phase 2. Here is their site plan with landscaping and their elevation of one of their standard model homes that they'll be using. All criteria has been evaluated and covered within the staff report, and staff finds that all criteria have been met. Public hearing notifications have been done. There were no inquiries or comments. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit and associated resolution for a model home sales complex within Ghost Hollow 2, subject to the following conditions. And these are the standard conditions for this type of request. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for the staff?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Would the applicant or their representative like to come forward and speak to this issue? Not seeing anyone? I'll open the public portion of the meeting. Anybody from the public like to address this issue? And seeing no one, I'll close the public portion of the meeting, bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion
Great.
that the commission approve the conditional use permit and associated resolution DSA-22-00230 for a model home sales complex within Ghost Hollow 2, subject to the conditions listed by staff.
Good. Have a motion.
I'll second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member Aldred,
Aye.
Member Vanderhayden,
Yes.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Garza,
Aye.
Member Peters,
Aye.
Member Estrada,
Yes.
Chairman Benedict.
Yes. All right, very good. Thank you. Next up is a public hearing, a request for approval by D.R. Horton for a conditional use permit and resolution for model home sales complex, DSA 22-00258. And Sam?
All right. So this is our second attempt at this with Carlton Commons. We were here in October with the initial conditional use permit, but they've decided that they are going to change their location, so we're going to try this one more time. D.R. Horton is requesting a conditional use permit for a model home sales complex for Carlton Commons. You can see that this is the new location. It was previously down in this area here. Here is the site plan with the landscaping. And this is their model elevation. All criteria has been evaluated and covered within the staff report, and staff finds that all criteria have been met. All the notifications were done, and there were no inquiries or comments. So staff recommends the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit and associated resolution for a model home sales complex within Carlton Commons, subject to the following conditions. And again, these are standard conditions, nothing out of the ordinary. Are there any questions?
Commissioners? We already have an approval for one place. This is another spot. We just leave the one that was already done in place?
It'll be,
How- I mean, I don't know that it matters, or,
I mean, it would just be that they could put in either place, but I'm sure they're just gonna use the new
sure.
lots, but the other one will just stay in place, and then once houses are built on it, it'll be essentially expired at that point.
Yeah, I'm
so.
sorry, it just occurred to me, it's like,
Yeah.
well, do we gotta cancel the other one or whatever?
No, we don't have to. I mean, we could.
Not for
We
me.
don't have to, yeah. It's just an additional conditional use.
Yep,
So.
not for- okay, very good. All right, thank you for that.
Chairman, I had one quick
Yes.
question. Is the infrastructure in place to get to the model homes, the roads?
I believe that that was the issue with why they moved it, was that the road that they were going to use to get to the initial location will not be completed in time, so they've decided to move it to a more suitable location.
Got
And
it.
if they're here tonight, they may be able to also give further information on that.
And also, just for the commission's information, before we'll issue the building permit, let them start construction without the streets being finished. I know that the water mains and sewer mains and all the utilities have been installed. The streets, I don't believe, have been completely paved. But before we allow them to occupy the building, we will require that the street be paved, provide paved access. That's our standard procedure for any new home.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep, that's good. Okay. Any other questions? All right, would the applicant or their representative like to speak to this issue? Man, this is gonna be a fast meeting.
You just jinxed it.
Did I? It's my fault? I think I put positive vibes out into it. Okay, so I'd like to open the public portion of this meeting. Anybody from the public like to speak to this issue? Please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of this meeting, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner?
Chairman, I'll make a motion
Thank you.
that we recommend the approval of the conditional use permit and associated resolution DSA 22-00258 for the model home sales complex within Carlton Commons with the following conditions.
We approve these, right?
We, the planning commission, approve.
Approved, yeah.
I second.
All right. Got a motion and a second. So call the roll, please.
Member Aldred,
Aye.
Member Vanderhayden,
Yes.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Garza,
Aye.
Member Peters,
Aye.
Member Estrada,
Yes.
Chairman Benedict.
Yes. Very good. Up next, public hearing and consideration for sending to the city council request by Edifice for a zone change from planned area development to PAD for RV storage, DSA 22-00174. Jacqueline. Oh, Sam's leaving.
Hi. Good evening, Commission. This request is, again, for a zone change from PAD, a religious education site, to PAD for RV storage. Site is 10 acres, located along Courtson Road, just west of Colorado Street, next to Cactus Middle School. The site is currently part of the Maryland's PAD. That you can see the single-family development around this, along with commercial on the northwest corner of Colorado and Courtson. This was originally approved in the mid-2000s. However, the site does not have certificates of assured water. And then the current site was had a PAD amendment in 2015 to change to religious institution education site. So staff felt, because of the uncertainty of the cause situation, we felt that it would be better to make this its own PAD instead of doing an amendment to the Maryland's PAD. However, we are carrying forward some of those conditions of approval that was last done in the PAD amendment. And then, so here's the proposed zoning with the RV storage commercial. And there is a major site plan for this site currently under review as well. With regard to the PAD review criteria, these are the items covered in the staff report. I will cover the two highlighted items. With regards to the general plan, the site is within the neighborhood's land use category, and commercial PADs are an allowed use. One of the goals of neighborhoods is to preserve the unique qualities of neighborhoods within the city and to encourage the design of commercial buildings that reflect differences between neighborhoods by being sensitive to scale and massing. The site will have landscaping surrounding the site and decorative fencing to help with the relationship between the surrounding properties. And then with regards, with the city's zoning ordinance, PAD again is allowable zoning district, and the PAD requests the following setbacks. Building height would be 20 feet. The site will also be incorporating landscaping buffer in the front as well as along the sides and rear. So with that, staff met all the public hearing notification efforts. We did receive one phone call regarding this proposal, and they had concerns with the safety, aesthetics, and property values of this request. And with that, staff recommends forwarding a recommendation to City Council to approve the zone change request from PAD Religious Education to PAD RV Storage, PSA 2022-00174, with the following technical corrections and conditions of approval. Happy to answer any questions the Commission may have.
Jacqueline, where's the access pad and entrance in relation to the school, where they're coming into that site from the street?
So it would be
From Courtson on the,
one of the conditions, so it's more,
where from Courtson?
yeah.
Over
So it'd be on
towards the west
Courtson.
side of the property?
Yeah, more on the west side. And
Okay.
one of the conditions that we are carrying forward is that they have a shared access drive with this parcel right here
Okay.
to limit driveway access points.
Thank you.
Just so the commission knows, you know, you are going to be seeing the major site plan at either your February or March meeting,
Okay.
at which time you'll see the full access design and the rest of the features of the site.
Okay, all right. Any other questions for staff? All right. Seeing none, would the applicant, their representative, please come forward to speak to this issue? Any questions?
I don't,
All righty. You're good, I guess we're good. All right, thank you, and I'll open the public portion of this meeting. Anybody from the public like to address this issue? Come on up. Yes, please. Yes, please. Please come on up and to the podium and give us your name and address.
Sure. My name is Chandlin DeVita, and I live at 1320 East Jarden Drive, which overlooks this parcel of land.
Great.
Just right back off of Courtson. So I had concerns with the height of what we're going to build and the traffic. Because the schools are right there during the week, that area is packed from 3 to 4. And I'm talking parents parking on the side of the road, parking in the neighborhoods. I want to know what kind of traffic it's going to bring. And how tall these buildings are going to be, whatever's going to be there, because of the view. I just purchased in August this house. I've just moved from New Jersey, and I purchased because I love this view, and now it's going away. So
Okay.
I have concerns. I would like to see a park there, to tell you the truth. Well, it would be great for the kids. You've got the schools, and then have a park, maybe some housing.
Okay, great.
So,
All right, we appreciate your questions. It's not the format to be answering them directly
sure.
to you.
Yep.
But
But it sounds
please,
like I need to come back and see the,
Final plat.
the final plat, yes.
Correct.
There'll be another meeting or two that this issue will be up before us, assuming it gets approved. And please, come back and get your input.
yeah, I just saw the sign yesterday, so I was like, it should be there.
Very good, we appreciate it. Yep, great,
I don't leave my house very much. I work from home, so
great.
I don't go outside very much.
Super. We appreciate you coming, and we'll, hopefully those will get answered as the process moves ahead.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public like to speak to this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Commissioners have any questions?
No, I was just gonna mention, Chairman, that, that's one thing I'm gonna be looking at is just improvements to Courtson, whether there's gonna be a turn lane. An RV moves slowly as it turns into the driveway, backing up traffic, so that'll be for our traffic engineer over there when he's looking through the site plan documents.
Yeah, when they have a chance to see that traffic that thing. Yep.
Impact, gotcha.
Yep, that thing. That thing. Yep.
maybe that's in Dollar General.
And then, and then you'll be able to see, they're planning on, she just talked about a 20-foot limit, right? And
Right.
the setback,
The building height is limited to 20 feet, so it'll be fair, there'll be one-story carport structures probably for RVs parking underneath. There will be a traffic information provided to the commission when we bring the major site plan forward. It's being evaluated by our traffic engineer to see what safety improvements, if any, need to be made in order to handle the traffic and make things safe.
great. Any other, so that brings to my mind the question, what is considered the front, sides, and rears of this lot?
The front is Courtson, the sides are the east and west property lines, and the rear is the north.
Yep, gotcha. Very good, thank you. Yes.
Got one question. Didn't we just discuss doing the Colorado Street extension on the north side of Cortson recently. And I don't remember whether that discussed the Cortson Road itself.
It would be south of this, not north. So it would be between Cortson and Cottonwood.
You're right. I think
Yeah.
it was that multifamily that
Right,
borders
it was
Colorado.
adjacent to the high school.
Right.
But my point is that I don't remember whether that plan that we had talked about, the road improvements on the Colorado Street extension north of Cortson, whether that had any impact on that intersection, any road improvements that would be continued or continue to look at that for this project.
So if you, commissioners, if you can look at on your screen, you can see where Colorado exists south of Cortson.
Right.
So it will be extended north. And likely it will be a signalized intersection as well. So yes, Colorado will be extended north of Cortson, east of here, but really won't influence, have much impact on this site other than creating breaks in the traffic because you will have a light at likely Colorado and Cortson and then Pinell and Cortson. So it creates breaks in the traffic, allowing more movements. So it will actually help the traffic flow in Cortson, even though it's not that light. This facility will not be using that light, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just brought that up and just to provide this resident here with,
Right, so we are,
there is something going on.
yes, the city is actively looking at improvements to Cortson Road to improve the traffic flow through there, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Where are we? Commissioners, any other questions? Okay, I think it's back in our court.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would like
Yes, sir.
to make a motion to forward a recommendation to City Council for a request by Edifice for a zone change from planned area development PAD religious education to PAD for RV storage at Colorado and Cortson under DSA-22000174 and with the conditions listed by staff.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member Aldrete,
Aye.
Member Vanderhayden,
Yes.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Garza,
Aye.
Member Peters,
Aye.
Member Estrada,
Yes.
Chairman Benedict.
Yes. Moving along, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Another one down. Another staff down. Knocking them off. Okay, that was 3. We're on 4. All right, next we'll have a public hearing and consideration for request by Promenade CG Retail LLC and Promenade CG Holdings for a major amendment to the Casa Grande Regional Shopping Center PAD to allow for standalone liquor stores, DSA 2200269. Jim?
All right, good evening, Planning Commissioners. So a little bit of background regarding this request. The Casa Grande Regional Shopping Center, otherwise known as the Promenade, is requesting an amendment to the PAD zoning to allow liquor stores. Now, currently, within that planned area development zone district, there's a prohibition on all liquor stores, except for when sold ancillary to other goods. So like when Cost Plus World Market was there, there was alcohol sales, but it was secondary to the primary retail operations of the business. What this request would do, it would allow liquor stores greater than 5,000 square feet. I kind of refer to that as a large format type liquor store, like if you think of Bevmo or Total Wine, etc. And the amendment would only apply to 18 parcels within the promenade area outlined in yellow. That's reflective of what this applicant owns. When reviewing amendments to planned area developments, these are the list of criteria that have to be evaluated, and the staff report goes into each of these in greater detail. I'm going to just talk about the top two highlighted items. The first one is about compatibility. And when you look at the overall land use of the promenade and surrounding areas, it's a commercial shopping center. So you would expect there to be a mixture of retail uses like large format liquor establishments. The property to the east of the site is also designated as commercial. And then directly north is a mixed use zoning. So we don't really find there to be substantial compatibility issues. With regard to the conformance to the city's general plan, this area lies within the commerce and business category, which supports and promotes multi-use activity centers. So it's expected that among that type of activity center where there's a multitude of uses, one would find a large format liquor store. With regard to the notification, we actually exceeded that which is required by code. We sent notification out to properties within 500 feet of those 18 parcels. The minimum's 300. This included notification to the Mission Royale HOA. There was no comments received as a result of the public notification efforts. And I'd be also need to remind you that in terms of the next steps, should Planning Commission make a recommendation that council approve this amendment, this would be heard at an upcoming city council meeting. And then there would be some following steps, including obtaining a liquor license that would have to be considered for any proposed liquor establishment. And then there would be tenant improvements involved in building permitting. And if you notice, some of the sites highlighted are vacant sites. So should there be a brand new large format liquor store proposed, that of course would be subject to consideration of a major site plan. So that would be coming back in front of Planning Commission. So we could take a look at additional impacts and compliance with the development standards. Staff does make a recommendation that Planning Commission move to forward to City Council a recommendation to approve this amendment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have one.
Yes.
So, Jim, this proposed site could end up anywhere within these 18, or the properties to be amended there, correct? It doesn't have to, they could be taking over an existing, it's just a matter of allowing that greater than 5,000 square foot liquor store, correct?
Commissioner Peters, correct. More than one liquor store would be allowed so long as it was over 5,000 square feet, but you're correct. It could either be inside an existing tenant space that would have to be appropriately remodeled, or it could be a brand new build.
Okay, thank you.
My curiosity just killing me about the cutouts. I mean, it's such a weird shape, the way the lines went around about what's approved for that space and what's not, if I'm reading,
So,
if I'm reading that right, what's,
Why
help
not?
me with.
so
the
what you're
logic of
seeing
some of
is the specific ownership parcels, and everything outlined in yellow are parcels owned by Promenade LLC. The reason why they're shaped the way they are is because each parcel has parking designed to accommodate the building on that site, and so sometimes it is shared with a parking area that belongs to another building, so it's, kind of looks like a jigsaw puzzle.
Gotcha, they just asked for everything they own to be
Correct.
part of this, and it just happens to take in all of these different.
Right. It was
Planter
really fun
boxes
drawing
and-
that on the map, by the way.
Gotcha.
But for the commission's information, like the Target store is not owned by the Promenade. Buffalo Wild Wings, Wells Fargo, Chick-fil-A, they're all independently owned. Those parcels have been sold and are not owned by the Promenade.
Right, gotcha. Makes sense, thank you, appreciate that. Curiosity feels better, thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner? Anything else? Okay, hearing none, would the applicant or their representative like to come forward and speak to this issue? Man, we're moving. Okay. Seeing none, I'll open, what's that? Yeah. Spite of what you said. So, where am I? Okay, so I'd like to open the public portion of this meeting. Anybody from the public like to speak to this issue? Seeing no one, I'll close the public portion, bring it back to the commission.
I think it's a good idea. It's another piece of the puzzle for that mall, that they need that out there. It's, with the hotel coming in, and it's just another option for folks, so they need that out there.
Okay.
So good luck to them, whoever it is.
I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
Move to forward the city council recommendation to approve the amendment to the Casa Grande Regional Shopping Center, PAD ESA -22-00269.
Thank you. I have a motion.
I'll second.
Got a second? Any discussion? No discussion. Okay, please call the roll.
Member Aldred,
Aye.
Member Vanderhayden,
Yes,
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Garza,
Aye.
Member Peters,
Aye.
Member Estrada,
Yes.
Chairman Benedict.
Yes. Very good. Next, public hearing and for the council for a request by Sunset Towers for a major amendment to the Courtson Ennis planned area development to allow wireless telecommunication facilities, DSA 22-00252. Jim?
All right, so this request also involves an amendment to a planned area development zone. This PAD zone is known as the Courtson-Hennis PAD. As you see on the screen, it's bound by Cottonwood to the north, Carolyn Way to the south, and it lies in between Arizola and Hennis Road. This PAD is actually land reflective of about 160 acres of land that's owned by the State Land Board. But it just so happens to have been entitled with two specific uses. On the west side of the site is entitled for public, semi-public school. And then on the east side of the site is designated for medium-density residential development at 5 dwelling units per acre. And then, of course, you'll also notice an open space spine programmed through this zone district. So currently, this PAD guide is silent with regard to whether or not wireless telecommunication facilities are allowed. So the request this evening by Sunstate Tower is to work with the school district to place a wireless facility on the site within the PAD that's leased by the school district. Primarily, the goal of Sunstate is to replace a ball field light with a new light pole that would be no taller than 15 feet from the existing pole, but it would be capable of handling 3 carriers. And that's a benefit because if it can hold 3 carriers, then it eliminates some of the possibility of additional facilities going vertical right next to one another in the area. An idea of a ball-filled light pole can be seen in this example picture. Sometimes the array is larger, but it gives you an idea of how it kind of blends in with the existing verticality. If this amendment is approved, wireless telecommunication facilities would be considered a permitted use with the approval of a minor site plan, but there's a list of conditions embedded into the PAD that would ensure that the wireless communication facility is stealth and presents a relative minimal impact to surrounding property owners. The way that that's achieved is we encourage that should there not be existing verticality used, like replacement of a ball-filled light pole, any freestanding facility would have to be also stealth, such as the use of a water tower design or a clock tower, that type of camouflaged item. And then in terms of any new wireless facilities should have a minimum setback equal to their height from all property lines. When reviewing the criteria for amendments to PADs, the staff report addresses all of these in full detail, but I'm going to just talk about the items highlighted on the screen here. The first criteria deals with overall compatibility of this proposal with the surrounding area. So this site is relatively insular because Arizola Road to the west of the site is further bordered by a strip of land owned by Arizona Water Company for well sites. So that provides a really good buffer between the school site and the residences to the west. To the north, on the other side of Cottonwood Lane, is land also owned by the State Land Board. And so while that land could ultimately be leased or sold, the expectation is that will probably stay undeveloped into the near future. The area highlighted in orange is the area of the PAD that's subject to this amendment, so there's no area between Hennis and Clements that would be subject to wireless telecommunication facilities. So the area with the most sensitivity would be the neighborhood to the south. However, between that neighborhood and this site is Carolyn Way. And again, we're implementing standards that would require that any facility that be proposed here be stealth in design and have adequate setbacks. Some examples of stealth facilities, like I mentioned, you could do a clock tower. Sometimes facilities are disguised in flagpoles, water towers. There's even an example out of Missouri where a pencil monument was used. So there's lots of creative ways to stealth a wireless facility. And of course, you could also do a wall mount onto the building itself. But I do want to remind Commission that really the driver behind this request is to do a ball-filled light pole replacement. This just gives you an idea of other potential facilities that could ultimately be proposed here. And then the other criteria I want to talk about is conformance to the city's general plan. This area lies within the community corridor category. The community corridor lists a variety of uses appropriate for the area. It promotes mixed use, a mixture of commercial and high-density residential. So the availability of wireless facilities plays a key role because it's these type of areas where there's going to be a greater concentration of users in the future. And so having the ability to construct wireless facilities will be a benefit in improving cellular service to that greater concentration of people. The last criteria I want to talk about is just another related matter. So because this property is owned by the State Land Board but leased to the school, and the school did authorize the applicant to submit this amendment, we still are unclear as to whether the State Land Board does indeed, in fact, authorize this amendment. So The condition of approval is that prior to council consideration, the applicants is to provide either authorization directly from the state land board or otherwise demonstrate that somewhere within the school's lease from the state land board, they have the ability to make this request on the state's behalf. Regarding the notification process, it met all that is required by code. We did not receive any comments as a result of the public notification. Regarding the next steps, this would be ultimately considered by council, should planning commission make a recommendation to approve. And then assuming that that does get approved, then their next step for the applicant would be to submit a minor site plan to evaluate the placement of any wireless facility. Staff does make a recommendation that Planning Commission move to forward to City Council a recommendation to approve this amendment, but subject to the condition that I mentioned requiring verification that the state authorizes this amendment to go forward. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Jim, do you know, will this placement of this pole on the school property generate any revenue for the school itself?
Commissioner Garza, the applicant's probably here to speak to that, but my guess is that it's probably a win-win in that the school probably gets some sort of revenue as part of as a sublease to the wireless facility.
Any other questions for staff?
No.
Okay. None? Would the applicant or their representative please come forward to speak? Broke the streak, yeah.
Chairman Benedict. Thank you. My name is Reg Destry. I represent Sun State Towers. I figured you couldn't possibly get out of here with no one speaking at any of these.
Thank you, we feel better.
I did want to specifically address Commissioner Garza's question. Yes, there is an agreement, a lease agreement, that would be between Sun State Towers and the school district. We are still working on that as well. One of the things they wanted to do was make sure that this could move forward in the PAD amendment process, because it's a little odd. I mean, one of the things when we first start to look for sites is we always look for existing verticality. We really like going on schools on ball field lights because we replace the light. It does not impact the neighborhood much at all, and it allows us an opportunity to do a site that multiple carriers can go on, which is what we do for a living. So.
Did the project get presented to the school board as well? I'm assuming?
Yeah, we've been working with the school district directly.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Has the board heard it, or we've been working with school staff?
We've been working with staff. I don't know if it has gone in front of the board itself yet.
It doesn't matter, I mean, as far as it goes.
I believe Gina Salazar has been our primary contact over there.
Yeah, very good. Okay, any other questions? Commissioners? I'm assuming your engineering research is extensive to be sure that that pole can handle the extra.
We actually will be replacing the pole.
Oh, okay. Very
Yeah,
good.
the same companies that build those poles for ball field lights also build our poles, but we almost always replace these poles, especially in a case like this where we would be designing one that's capable of handling multiple carriers, because obviously there's more weight on there than just one light ballast. So.
Love it. Great, thank you. Just,
Thanks.
I assumed.
We have another school.
Good. All right, thank you for that. Now to open the public portion of the meeting. Anybody from the public like to address this issue? Please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of this meeting and bring it back to the commission. Commissioners.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we, the Planning Commission, forward to City Council a recommendation of the major amendment to the Courts and Hennis planned area development for Sunset Towers, PAD, DSA 2200252.
Second.
Subject to the,
subject to the following one condition listed here by staff.
Whatever it is. Second that.
very good. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Let's call the roll.
Member Aldred?
Aye.
Member Vanderheiden?
Yes.
Member Hubbard?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Garza?
Aye.
Member Peters?
Aye.
Member Estrada?
Yes.
Chairman Benedict?
Thank you for providing an essential service.
We have
Aye.
another school.
Very good, thank you. Okay, next up, anybody from the public like to address any general issues with this commission? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll move on. Good, next. Planning Director, any reports, please?
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, staff did not approve any administrative minor site plans last month. Also, there were no Board of Adjustment hearings. However, you did keep City Council very busy considering a lot of your recommendations.
Good, we don't want them to get lazy.
And so they did agree with you on everything. They approved the variance, subdivision variance to block length. They approved a number of PAD amendments that you recommended, as well as general plan amendments, and a text amendment modifying our general plan review process to allow general plans, major general plan amendments to be processed twice a year versus once. So there was no dissent really on any of the items that you recommended to City Council. And that's all I have to report. You do have your data sheets on the building permit process and the land use applications as well.
So, I'd love to hear your comments about permit numbers, where that's gone, what the trend has been in recent past.
So in permitting numbers, we the single-family homes are about half of what they were in our prior year, I'd say. It's probably a good number, roughly half. The multifamily is up. As I look at this report, I think there's something wrong with my multifamily zeros here because we have approved some multifamily units. I have to check on that. Some are in review, but we have at least 2 large apartment complexes under review. We probably haven't approved them and issued the permit yet. They'll reflect on this report when we've issued them. And we are, of course, issuing permits for some build to rent as well. So single-family, standard traditional single-family is down. Multifamily and build to rent are up. They probably are actually filling in that gap pretty equivalently with the number of dwelling units. So we'll probably end up constructing about the same number of dwelling units, but they're going to be different types of dwelling units, not all single-family detached. Of course, our industrial and commercial development is also pretty heavy these days, and so that's keeping us very busy.
Very good, thank you, appreciate that. Threw that at you out of the blue. And before the next item, thank you, commissioners. I appreciate again the vote of confidence, and I will try not to screw up too bad next several months, and I'll lean on my vice. I'll lean on my vice for it.
Should keep you in check.
And then, you guys, I really thinking about a rule that we have to share these.
I knew you were gonna do it.
You know, you lean on poor Commissioner Peters pretty heavily, guys, and he steps right up.
That's all right.
They step right up.
Gotta keep
It's
things
a
moving.
good experience to be able to to speak and all that, so I encourage you to, particularly if you're supportive of it. If you like it, please be the one to give the motion. All right, that's enough of that. Do we want to make a motion, or am I just going to do it for myself?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Thank you very much, appreciate that. Who got a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.